Hello everyone, I'm the Storyteller, and I'm here to guide you into a peaceful rest tonight. I know many of you use these videos to help you unwind and drift off to sleep, so before we begin, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel, it really helps. Also, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. Get cozy, settle in, and let's journey into tonight's story. Relax, and let the soothing sounds carry you away. Princess Alara had always felt a strange pull toward the forest that bordered the eastern edge of her kingdom. It was a place of whispered legends, where the trees grew tall and ancient, their branches intertwining to form a canopy so thick that sunlight barely touched the forest floor. The villagers called it the Veilwood, a place where the boundary between worlds was said to be thin. Alara had heard the stories since she was a child, tales of a hidden kingdom, a realm beyond the veil, ruled by a mysterious monarch who watched over the mortal world. But she had always dismissed them as mere folklore. Until now. It was her 18th birthday, and the palace was alive with celebration. The great hall was adorned with golden banners, and the air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the sound of laughter. Yet, despite the festivities, Alara felt restless. She slipped away from the crowd, her silk gown trailing behind her as she made her way to the palace gardens. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the landscape. As she wandered, she found herself drawn to the edge of the Veilwood. The forest seemed to call to her, its whispers growing louder with each step she took. She hesitated at the tree line, her heart pounding in her chest. "This is foolish," she muttered to herself. But something deep within her urged her forward. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the shadows. The moment she crossed the threshold, the air around her shifted. The sounds of the palace faded away, replaced by an eerie silence. The trees seemed to close in around her, their gnarled roots twisting like serpents. Alara pressed on, her curiosity outweighing her fear. She didn't know how long she walked, but eventually, she emerged into a clearing bathed in silver light. Before her stood a massive archway, its surface shimmering like liquid mercury. Beyond it, she could see a world unlike anything she had ever imagined. The sky was a deep shade of violet, dotted with stars that pulsed like living beings. The ground was covered in luminescent flowers that glowed softly in the twilight. And in the distance, a grand castle rose from the horizon, its spires reaching toward the heavens. Alara's breath caught in her throat. This was no ordinary forest. She had crossed into another realm. As she stepped through the archway, a voice echoed in her mind. "Welcome, Princess Alara. We have been waiting for you." She spun around, searching for the source of the voice, but there was no one there. "Who are you?" she called out, her voice trembling. "I am the one who has watched over you since the day you were born," the voice replied. "I am the unseen monarch, ruler of the kingdom beyond the veil." Alara's mind raced. The stories were true. "Why have you brought me here?" she asked. "You are destined for more than the life you lead in the mortal world," the voice said. "Your true purpose lies here, in this realm. But to claim it, you must prove yourself worthy." Before Alara could respond, the ground beneath her feet began to tremble. The flowers around her withered, their light fading as shadows crept across the land. From the darkness emerged a figure, a tall, cloaked being with eyes that glowed like embers. It was the unseen monarch, their presence both awe-inspiring and terrifying. "You have entered my domain," the monarch said, their voice resonating with power. "But to remain here, you must pass a trial. Only then will you understand the truth of your destiny." Alara swallowed hard, her fear mingling with determination. "What must I do?" The monarch extended a hand, and a glowing orb appeared in their palm. Within it, Alara saw glimpses of her past, her childhood, her struggles, her dreams. "You must confront the shadows within yourself," the monarch said. "Only by facing your deepest fears can you unlock the power that lies within you." The orb floated toward Alara, and as she reached out to touch it, the world around her dissolved. She found herself standing in a dark, endless void. Before her stood a mirror, and in its reflection, she saw not herself, but a version of her consumed by doubt and fear. "You are not strong enough," the reflection sneered. "You will never be worthy of this kingdom." Elara clenched her fists, her heart pounding. "I am more than my fears," she said, her voice steady. "I am the daughter of kings, and I will not be defeated by shadows." As she spoke, the reflection began to crack, shattering into 1,000 pieces. Light burst forth, filling the void and banishing the darkness. When Elara opened her eyes, she was back in the clearing, the unseen monarch standing before her. "You have proven yourself," the monarch said, their voice filled with approval. "You are ready to embrace your destiny." Elara felt a surge of power within her, as if a long-dormant part of her had awakened. "What happens now?" she asked. The monarch smiled, a rare and enigmatic expression. "Now, you will learn the secrets of this realm and take your place as its protector. The kingdom beyond the veil is your home, Princess Elara. And its future is in your hands." As the monarch led her toward the castle, Elara felt a sense of belonging she had never known before. She had crossed the veil and found a world of wonder and magic. And though she knew challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them. For she was no longer just a princess of the mortal world. She was the heir to the kingdom beyond the veil. The castle loomed before her, its towering spires piercing the violet sky. The air was thick with magic, and Elara could feel it humming in her veins as she followed the unseen monarch through the grand gates. The courtyard was alive with movement, ethereal beings with shimmering wings, creatures of light and shadow, and figures cloaked in robes that seemed to shift and change with every step. They all paused as she passed, bowing their heads in reverence. "Welcome to the Citadel of Eternity," the monarch said, their voice echoing through the vast space. "This is the heart of the kingdom beyond the veil, and it is here that you will begin your training." Elara's eyes widened as she took in the splendor of the citadel. The walls were made of a crystalline material that refracted light into 1,000 colors, and the floors were polished to a mirror-like sheen. Above her, the ceiling seemed to stretch into infinity, dotted with stars that twinkled like diamonds. "Training for what?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "To harness the power that lies within you," the monarch replied. "You are not merely a mortal princess, Elara. You are a bridge between worlds, a being of immense potential. But potential alone is not enough. You must learn to wield it." They led her to a chamber deep within the citadel, its walls lined with ancient tomes and artifacts that pulsed with energy. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, upon which rested a crown unlike any Elara had ever seen. It was crafted from a metal that seemed to shift between silver and gold, and its surface was etched with intricate runes that glowed faintly. "This is the crown of the veil," the monarch said. "It is a symbol of your connection to this realm. When you are ready, it will be yours to wear. But first, you must prove yourself once more." Elara's gaze lingered on the crown, a mixture of awe and trepidation filling her. "What must I do?" The monarch gestured to a large mirror that stood at the far end of the chamber. Its surface was dark, like a pool of still water. "Step into the mirror of trials," they said. "There, you will face challenges that will test your courage, your wisdom, and your heart. Only by overcoming them can you claim your rightful place." Elara hesitated for a moment, then nodded. She approached the mirror, her reflection staring back at her with a mixture of determination and fear. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, and the surface of the mirror rippled like water, swallowing her whole. When Elara opened her eyes, she found herself standing in a vast desert, the sun blazing overhead. The air was dry and hot, and the sand stretched endlessly in every direction. Before her stood a figure cloaked in black, their face obscured by a hood. "Who are you?" Elara asked, her voice steady despite the heat. "I am the keeper of the first trial," the figure replied. "To pass, you must find the oasis of truth. But beware, the desert is filled with illusions, and not all that you see is real. Elara nodded and began to walk, her feet sinking into the soft sand. The heat was oppressive, and soon her throat was parched. She pressed on, determined to prove herself. Hours passed, and the landscape seemed unchanging. Just as she began to despair, she saw a glimmer of water in the distance. She quickened her pace, her heart lifting as she approached what appeared to be an oasis. But as she drew closer, she noticed something strange. The water shimmered unnaturally, and the trees seemed to flicker like a mirage. Remembering the keeper's warning, she hesitated. "This isn't real," she murmured to herself. Closing her eyes, she focused on the feeling of the sand beneath her feet and the sound of the wind. When she opened them again, the oasis was gone. Instead, she saw a small, unassuming puddle of water a few steps away. She knelt and drank deeply, the cool liquid reviving her. The moment she drank, the desert dissolved, and she found herself standing in a dense forest. The air was cool and filled with the scent of pine. Before her stood a second figure, this one cloaked in green. "Welcome to the second trial," the figure said. "To pass, you must navigate the forest of echoes. But beware, the forest will test your resolve with the voices of those you love." Elara stepped into the forest, and almost immediately, she heard her mother's voice calling her name. "Elara, come back. You don't belong there." The voice was so real that she turned, half expecting to see her mother standing behind her. But there was no one there. She pressed on, the voices growing louder and more insistent. She heard her father, her friends, even the villagers she had grown up with, all pleading with her to turn back. Tears streamed down her face, but she clenched her fists and kept walking. "I know my path," she whispered. "I will not be swayed." As she spoke, the voices faded, and the forest grew quiet. The trees parted, revealing a path of light that led her out of the forest. The final trial took place in a cavern filled with mirrors. Each mirror showed a different version of herself, some triumphant, others broken and defeated. In the center of the cavern stood the keeper of the third trial, a figure cloaked in silver. "To pass," the keeper said, "you must choose the true reflection of yourself." Elara walked among the mirrors, studying each image. One showed her as a queen, ruling over both the mortal world and the kingdom beyond the veil. Another showed her as a warrior, battling against darkness. Yet another showed her as a healer, bringing peace to both realms. But none of them felt quite right. Finally, she stopped before a mirror that showed her as she was, flawed, uncertain, but determined. She reached out and touched the glass, and the mirror shattered, revealing a doorway of light. When Elara stepped through the doorway, she found herself back in the chamber with the unseen monarch. The crown of the veil glowed brightly, as if in recognition of her triumph. "You have passed the trials," the monarch said, their voice filled with pride. "You have proven yourself worthy." Elara approached the pedestal and lifted the crown. As she placed it upon her head, a surge of power coursed through her, and she felt a deep connection to the kingdom beyond the veil. She was no longer just a princess, she was its protector, its heir, and its hope. The monarch bowed their head. "Welcome home, Elara." And as she stood in the heart of the citadel, surrounded by the wonders of the realm, Elara knew that her journey was only just beginning. The kingdom beyond the veil was hers to protect, and she would do so with all the strength and courage she possessed.